Our guy Asmongold is back after not posting for a couple weeks, and he posted this video here, and I think we're gonna watch it together. And I want to give you my thoughts and talk about his experience with his dad, and I'll talk about experience with mine as well. So, like I said, I started watching this a little bit, but I want to watch it together, and we're gonna talk about it, right? Because I think it's important to talk about these things, and I have a suggestion for Asmongold as well, and I'll say that at the end of the
A
video.
lot of you guys have seen the video, right? And so, like, I'm not going to go through this, but like, long story short is that my dad passed away. He did. And this happened a little bit over 2 weeks ago at this point. And I was very busy dealing with that. It turns out, like, dying is really complicated. Oh my God, there's so much paperwork with it.
There is a lot of paperwork, and it's super annoying. And so, like I said, his father passed away. Luckily, well, I say luckily, it wasn't super sudden, right? I guess that's the silver lining of it. When I lost my dad, it was pretty sudden. We didn't really see it coming, but luckily, they had plenty of time to say their goodbyes and everything, and that's super important. You're talking about all the paperwork and stuff. It's crazy. I remember like when my dad passed, they had we called 911, and the ambulance came out, and they charged us like, and he had passed before the ambulance got there, right? I was trying to do CPR, trying to save him. Ambulance showed up, and so they basically did their thing, picked him up and brought him to the hospital. And so like, a week after all that happened, they sent us a bill for like $9,000, like just for the ambulance pickup and the hospital visit. And I had just turned 19. This happened the day before my 19th birthday, and my mom wasn't working. My dad was the sole breadwinner. So like that happened, and suddenly, it's like what a slap in the face, right? Like your dad passes away, and then they give you a bill for $9,600, and it's like it's so annoying. It's so frustrating.
Fuck. And so I've had to deal with that a lot. And yeah, ripped out. I know it's fucking horrible. And it's been like, I feel like a lot of it hasn't even really set in like a big case. It hasn't really affected me. And,
it does take a while for that stuff to set in. I remember there was like weeks, for weeks and everything. It was like anytime I heard somebody pull into the driveway, I would get that like thought in my mind, like, oh, dad's home from work or whatever. And it's like, nope. So it's crazy how long it takes for your brain to adjust to all that. It sucks. It sucks.
Like really, I like yesterday I went into his house and I just honestly I just cried, right? And I'll just say it.
It's
And first time I really have in quite a while. And let me make sure I turn that down. I think it's a little bit loud. And it was the first time I had ever since like the first couple of days. And so it was just really, it's been really rough. And so my dad passed away, and basically it was one of those situations where he just decided pretty much, I mean, he had pancreatic cancer. He had pneumonia 6 times. I'm pretty sure he just decided, man, it's time to clock the fuck out, right? Like, I'm done with this shit. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And that's exactly what he did. And, they told me there really wasn't that high of a probability of, things were good, right? And then, I'm talking to 2 of the doctors there. They're telling me it's not a matter of if, but when he's coming out of the hospital. I said, okay, great. And then the next day, they're calling me as I'm driving over there, telling me that he's probably not going to come out of the hospital. And so that was a very, very unpleasant situation, and it was awful, to be honest with you. So that basically is what happened.
That's super rough, man. Anybody who's lost a parent, lost a parent too soon, I think, knows just how. I mean, it's hard. It's rough, and I don't know if it's necessarily just like a dad thing and a son. I don't know if this is specific to sons losing their dads early, because I've talked to a few other guys I know, who've also lost their dad like way too early, and it's like, at least for them and for me, I would say it's like a life obviously it's life altering, but it's like life defining how much your life changes when something like that happens. And it just puts things into a completely new perspective. Like, when someone that close to you has passed, it's like all the little things that you used to get upset about, you're just like, it's like, whatever. It's not a big deal, right? Because none of us really know how much longer we have. So you just try to make the best of the time that you have here with the people that you're here with. But anyways, let's get back to it.
And then obviously, I was there with them the whole way, all the way through up until the very end, which was very unpleasant, but I'm glad that I did it. And that's kind of what happened. Roller coaster? Yeah, definitely a roller coaster. You end up doing hospice? I did. And it was as comfortable because like he and I had obviously had conversations about this, in the past, and because he's 78, and so like because of that, I mean, it was very obvious that like this could happen at any time, and so he's like, okay, listen, this is what you're gonna do, this is what I want, this is how I want it done, and that's how this is the decision making I want you to do. I executed that decision making, and that's what I did, and so
See, it's good. Like I said, it's good that he got that opportunity, and obviously, I say it's a good thing. It's nice that he got, at least it wasn't super sudden, so they got to plan out these things. And, please don't take that the wrong way. Obviously, we would obviously trade. We would love to just have our parent back, right? But if you had the option between like seeing it coming and being able to plan and say your goodbyes and everything, that's obviously better than just having it happen really, really suddenly. Okay, so please don't mistake that and take that the wrong way. That it's like a good thing that happened, because obviously that's not what I'm saying.
It's weird, right? Because I've lost both my parents now, and I'm kind of just here. I'm just here. I'm an only child, right? And so I'm just kind of here, and it's given me a lot of time to think, and it's given me a lot of time to just kind of, I don't know. I mean, like and this is something I really didn't kind of talk about a lot in my video, is that ever since I was like, I would say like 23, but really 15, like in 2005, somewhere around there, my family, like me and my mom and my dad, got in a really bad accident, and my mom broke her wrist, and I think they said that she had like a heart attack while they were doing an operation on her or something like that, and she was like never the same after this operation. And so ever since then, I had been having to like kind of take care of her and help her, etc. Then as I got into my early 20s, like 21, 22, 23, especially 23, things just kind of deteriorated and they got worse. And so at that point, like I couldn't really move out. I couldn't go and pursue anything that I wanted to do, because my mom didn't have anybody else. She was here in Austin, Texas. All her family's in Florida. And so, at that point, I didn't really have like funds to help her any other way, and so I had to take care of her. And so I had put off a lot of things that I think that you would do. Like I did a lot. Like
this situation that he's describing right here is very. It's not super similar. It's not the exact same, but it is pretty similar to the experience I had right after my dad passed away. And I'm going to let him finish kind of his little piece here, and then I want to explain, my experience in kind of a similar situation.
I don't want anybody to get an idea that growing up, things were bad. I mean, things were actually very good in a lot of cases, but there's always negative aspects to it, right? And one of them was that, for me, I ended up having to take care of her from about, I would say on a soft level from 15, but really seriously from 23 to 31. Whenever she passed away, I was 31 then. And so then there was a year and a half, and that was the Elden Ring, Lost Ark, Johnny Depp saga of my stream.
See, that's not to the same extent. Not to the same extent that he's had to take care of his parents, but I had a similar situation with my mom after my dad passed away. Like I said, it happened to me. That happened the day before my 19th birthday. So I was 18. I was getting ready to move out of the house and go do something. I was maybe looking at college and things like that. And then when my dad passed away, it was kind of like all that like completely went out the window, right? And I was doing a lot of things. It kind of like forced me to grow up earlier than I had anticipated, earlier than I had hoped. And I was doing a lot of things that 19-year-olds typically were not doing. A lot of my friends, they're hanging out, they're doing kid stuff, right? They're doing 19-year-old stuff, right? But I'm like, working multiple jobs and spending money on groceries for the house. And I'm like saving up for like a leaf blower so I can clean the house. And I'm like spending the summer chopping wood because I grew up north and it's, actually cold up there. And we used a fire stove for heating. So, in the north, you actually have to spend a whole bunch of time in the summer chopping and stacking firewood. So like I'm doing all these things that my dad had to do, that typically, 19-year-olds are not doing, kind of taking care of the house and all this stuff. And it really put a pin, like personally, in like anything that I wanted to do, right? Because I felt obligated to stay home and take care of my mom, not only in the physical sense of like taking care of the house, but emotionally, right? Obviously, my mom, she's great lady. We still have a, great woman. We still have a wonderful relationship. She was a great mom. But she, she was obviously very hurt, right? She was obviously very hurt from losing my dad, and she was kind of a wreck for a while. So, I was there providing emotional support, to a large extent as well. So I really didn't feel comfortable leaving her. Like I didn't want to leave her on her own, right? So I ended up staying home and not really flying the coop for another 4 years. So it was really just 4 years where I did that, and I didn't leave the house until I was pretty confident that she was doing a lot better, and she was kind of able to go and do things on her own, and she had actually gotten a job in this point as well, which was great because she was a stay-at-home mom our whole life. So she ended up getting a job and kind of being a little bit more independent and everything. And so like I said, that process took like 4 years. And then that's when I joined the military. And so it was hard leaving, right? Because I was, I felt like I invested so much in kind of taking care of the house and taking care of her and everything. But I felt confident in her abilities to kind of manage on her own. And it was pretty wild. I remember right before I was roofing then, and right before I joined the military, like me, mostly me, but I had some friends help as well, put a new roof on the house, right? So I'm up there, redoing the entire roof on her house and everything, just trying to get it like set, like just trying to get everything okay for me to leave for a little while. But she's been doing great since then. But so it's like I said, I say that to say I've been in a similar situation, but obviously not to the same extent or duration that Asmon's had to.
Where my dad was
So I can sympathize with the feeling a little bit.
healthy, and also my stream was doing. I was streaming all the time, and I didn't have anything that I had to deal with, right? And so then fast forward to like maybe 6 months after that, my dad gets really sick. Like, I mean, and this is like one of the things where like one of the reasons why I wasn't as upset about like losing my dad now is that I thought I was going to lose him 2 years ago. Like I was already past all 5 stages of grief at that point.
See, that's what I was saying earlier, right? It's not as bad, I think. If you have some time to process it, at least some time to expect it beforehand.
Because like y'all didn't see this because I never talked about it really on my stream. But like he couldn't even get up and walk to the door, right? And so like, and this was going on for like a month. It was really fucking bad. And so at that point, obviously, like I had to do a lot more for him, and I had to make sure I was available all the time for him. So in a way, like ever since I was 15, but I would say really like in a more like defined way, like 20 in like early 20s, I'd say 23, 22 to now, I've spent my entire life basically being a caretaker for one or the other of them, minus about 2 years. Maybe.
See, that's hard, man. That's rough. That's really hard. Like I said, I just did that for 4 years, and it was a lot. I feel like it kind of, well, not feel like it did. I put my life on hold to take care of your parents, but that's what you do, right? That's family. I did what I had to do. I think I think most people in my situation probably would have done the same thing, but it is hard. It is hard.
Maybe a little bit less than 2 years.
But if you think about it, I mean, my parents obviously did so much for me growing up. Right? They were so good to me as a kid, so I felt like it was the least I should do. It was the least I could do.
And so now that they're both gone, there is a it's like it's like you're alone and you're also free, right? And that's a very weird feeling for me. Because I was like, when people are trying to make plans with me and stuff, and it's like I can actually just kind of do whatever I want to do, right? I can do whatever I want to do. And it's like a bittersweet thing where it's like I would always resent and hate and be angry at my parents for the obligation that they put on me. But it's unfortunate now that I wish I'd do anything to have it back. But you can't go back. And that's why we're here. My dad, 3 or 4 days.
I remember thinking that I thought that so many times, just like would just literally do anything, literally do anything for just one more day, just to see him one more time. And it's just, I think that's the hardest part about losing a parent or losing somebody that close to you is just deeply, deeply wanting just like one more day or just wanting to undo it, but just knowing that you can't. You can't undo it. It's not going to go back.
He's on hospice. I come in, it's like 2 or 3 p.m. He's like, "Why aren't you live?" I said, "Motherfucker, you're dying." "What do you mean, why am I not live?" He says, "Oh, right, yeah, yep."
That is great though. That his dad, is so supportive of everything, and that's pretty awesome. That must have been good.
Just yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah."
I can't tell you how many times I wish that my dad could have seen anything that I've done. He didn't get to see me get married any of the times I got married. Right? He wasn't there, didn't get to see me join the military or, graduate my tech school. All the things I've blown up, done, so much work with explosives and, or have kids, right? He didn't get to meet my son or anything. And just, man, it would have been nice. It would have been nice.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? And he went out as, as much of a hard ass as he's ever been. And, my dad and I, there was a lot of friction between us growing up and as an adult. I mean, I was very, upset and mad at him about stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter, and that's about it. And so I was your biggest fan. He would watch me all the time, like every day, man. He would. And it's really weird for me to think about, because he would call into the stream all the time and everything, and it's like, fuck, man. Fuck.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's
that is
the
rough.
end of an era, right? And it sucks. It really sucks. And I don't really talk a lot about my feeling.
There really just is no other way to explain it. It just sucks, man. It just, yeah.
And emotions and shit like this, right? I'm not a big guy into getting into it, but it's been hard. It really is, and I'm glad to be back. I definitely am, but it's been a rough time. I'll certainly say that, and I mean, I will say, he's giving a lot of his stuff away. But I got him recorded on video saying that the 2014 V8 Hemi Performance Package Dodge Challenger is going to me.
All right, this I am slightly jealous of. When my dad passed away, he had this like little tiny old truck. It was a I don't know, 98 or like 97 GMC Sonoma, right? Just a little truck, little baby truck. That was all we could afford, right? Little truck. And a little V6. And when he passed away, man, I used to drive that thing everywhere. I loved that truck. And then one day I was at work, and I had like multiple crap box cars at the time. I had that truck, and I had like two old 240 SXs, and I had a bunch of beaters. Right, it's like I filled my mom's driveway with beater cars. And then one day I was at work, and my mom sold the truck to somebody who really, well, she basically gave it away for $100. She sold it for $100 to somebody who really needed a vehicle. But I was like, man, I was attached to that truck. Like, I really was. It was like so cool to have that. I just felt like that was all I had left of him. And just, Mom, why'd you do that? Yeah, that truck was sick. So that's pretty sweet that he's at least going to be able to keep the car.
Yeah, I mean, and so I'm talking about this, and S-Fan messages me. He says, you master-looted it. And I was like, wait a minute. I actually master-looted a mount in real life. I didn't even realize that until he just told me this. I never even thought about it like this. But that's what it was. Yeah, full circle. Yeah, bro, like life
Man. Anyway, it's good to see him in good spirits, considering all things that's happened to him. My suggestion, now that he's kind of, obviously it's a terrible thing to happen, right? It's a terrible thing when your parent passes away. But like if I could talk to Asmongold, man, I would tell him, like, look at the beauty of that moment, like, and how supportive that relationship was with the parents, right? And like there's a lot of beauty there in how strong and deep their relationship was. And earlier in the video, he was talking about how he's alone now, right? He's kind of completely on his own. He's an only child, no parents, right? So it's just him left. Bro, have some kids, dude. Pop out a kid, man, because now you get a chance to be that dad, right? Like, you could be that dad for a little kid and like be that supportive, of a little kid. And you could call in, years down the road, you could be the one calling in to your son's streams and rambling on and, having a good time and, creating a nice life for somebody. I bet he would be a cool dad to have, right? That would be pretty sweet, right? If Asmongold was your dad, the house might be a little dirty, but I think that would be pretty fun. I think that would be a good time. So, man, I think you should do it. Asmongold, I think you should have kids and create that magic for the next generation, man. But anyways, like I said, it's good to see him in good spirits. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you still have, if your parents are still kicking and they're good people, make sure you call them today and tell them you love them. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.